Welcome to Early Access. I'm Katie Whitlock. I'm here with Veronica. Veronica, it's lovely to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you for being here. If you wouldn't mind, can you tell the people, actually, you know what? First, let's talk about how you found this podcast, because you actually found me, right? I didn't reach out to you first. You kind of sent in something. Did Jeff talk to you?
So I got a message from Jeff's / Around the Circle's Patreon. They're like, we need ones for the podcast.
Yeah.
And so I emailed him and he said, fill out this form for the podcast. And then
great.
That's how I found it. Although I feel like it was kind of in, what would you call it? Like the podcast universe.
Yeah.
So like I've been aware of it because it's like been in your podcast has been like in my feed, in my like Instagram. So
good.
That was a little that's a little rambly, but
no,
like I was
fine.
aware of the podcast before. They're like, we need people specifically. We need ones who are under 35, and I was like, that is me. And like kind of as a when I was like, well, then it is my obligation to at least like offer my services, and if it's not, that's okay.
No, it's going to be great. I know.
So that's kind of how I ended up here.
Surprisingly or unsurprisingly, it is a little hard to get ones to volunteer all on their own. Not hard. Well, maybe not hard. We just, for whatever reason, we haven't found as many. And then the one interview that we did do, which was really good, it's a friend of mine, just the audio was really bad, so we couldn't use it. So like all of a sudden we got to the week where we were supposed to release one, and we were like, oh my gosh, we don't have anything. So anyway, thank you for being here.
I'm excited to be here.
So tell the people a little bit about yourself. What do you do? How'd you find the Enneagram? All the above.
So I'm Veronica, 32. I live in downtown Chicago, work in the suburbs. I work at a molecular diagnostics company. I'm a R&D scientist, which is pretty cool.
What does R&D mean?
So R&D is research and development. So our company has an instrument which runs tests, and in order to sell those tests, we have to develop them for different diseases. Great. And so that's kind of what I work on day to day. And then how I found the Enneagram. Okay, so I went to college at UNC in Greeley, Colorado. Go Bears. And while I was there, I went to Atlas Church kind of off and on, not like super consistently. But because of that, I was in like Jeff's orbit, I guess.
Yeah.
And also like followed all of the pages, like was following on his social media. And so when the podcast launched, Around Circle podcast launched, I started following, joined the Patreon, started going to like the group sessions they had. And that's kind of how I jumped in, and then kind of really opened my eyes to, oh, there are so many different ways to see the world that I was just not aware of.
Yeah.
And it kind of like really changed how I saw other people and myself, and like got my sister involved in it, got my whole family involved in it, and really like kind of expanded my understanding, and it was also a new thing to kind of like learn and like have kind of a project to work on.
Yes.
Which I don't know if that's exclusively a one thing, but that is such a thing for me, of like having a thing to work towards or work on or like be learning about. And so now we're here. That was 2019. So I guess it's been 6 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's been 6 years since 2019. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's crazier when I think like I like went to school in 2015 and that was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You're like, oh yeah.
Did you graduate in Wait, I can't do the math. Would you have graduated in 2015, or did you go to school? Did you start school in 2015?
I graduated in 2015.
Okay.
December 2015.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I started school. Yeah. I started college in 2017, and I couldn't figure out the math on how much older you were than me for a second. I just turned 27. Yeah.
Okay. My youngest sister is 25, so
okay.
Like,
so
like
similar.
right in there. Yeah.
How many siblings do you have?
I'm the oldest of 4.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
which you said the youngest is 25.
Yeah. So it's 2 years, 4 years, roughly.
Yeah.
And then We are a 1, a 9, a 4, and a 6. And then my parents are a 2 and a 5.
You kind of got the whole gamut.
We've got a huge spread, but we also don't have any assertive types. So it's kind of a weird like dynamic. So my sisters have made comments about how they think I have kind of taken on like the assertive role in the family dynamic, where I am very opinionated and I'm very much like, we should do this. This is why we should, but we should also like argue it out is maybe not the right word, but I'm like,
debate it out.
Fight about this. We should be like this option. We should do this one because we should do this one.
Yeah.
And we have like the people who are like the withdrawn types who are like, no, we don't have to fight about this. And then the like me and my stick sister are like, no, we need to decide though. We need to have this discussion. And so the family dynamic, especially knowing now, because we have been able to define ourselves and like know where the other people are coming from, has made it easier. But it also is very apparent when we're on like group calls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a bunch of questions about this actually. So first, you have every number in the responsive stance and you have every number in the withdrawn stance. Right? That's crazy. And no assertive types.
Yep.
I think it's fascinating. So I think like withdrawn people are pretty much always withdrawn no matter where they are, right? Assertive types are almost always assertive no matter what they are. But I think it's really interesting because I see this in other people too. Like responsive types, I think, can kind of fill a vacuum because you're responsive, right? You respond to the need of wherever you are. And it sounded like, well, your family needed someone to take charge a little bit. It wasn't going to be the 4, 5, or 9, right?
Correct.
And it was, so talk about, I'd love to hear the differences in how you, your sister, and your mother, so the 1, the 2, and the 6, or 1, 6, and 2, I guess, in that order, all kind of handled that. Like you said, it's mostly you and your sister.
Yeah, well, we're the ones who are like ready to do, like put up the fight.
Yeah.
And which I think also comes with the fact that like being a 2 is very like relation based, right?
For sure.
And I think especially with her in particular, like keeping the peace and like making sure everyone feels included, or I guess just like is like a little bit more like peacekeeping, I guess. Leans a little bit more 9 in a way, whereas like
twos and 9s and 7s are in the positive outlook triad, right? Which means they solve conflict by being positive about it. So they look like, I agree. I imagine that what you're saying is exactly true. Like your mom just she cares about being not like liked, although I'll just use the word like. My mom's a 2 and my dad's a 5 as well. So I know that.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah.
And she my mom won't sacrifice a relationship, right, to get something done. She wants the relationship over getting something done. And I think a 1 and a 6 want to get something done over than having the relationship, right?
No, I completely resonated with that, like positivity, negativity. Because like in a situation, like a lot of times they're looking at the bright side of things, or like, oh, well, like it's gonna be fine, like it'll work out. And we're like, no, you need to have a plan, and it has to be this way,
right? Because
this is the right way. Or so
does it feel like? So you said the positivity and the negativity. Does it feel like you're being negative when you do that, or does it just feel like you're being like real?
Yeah, I think maybe negative was the wrong word to use there. I would think maybe constructive also doesn't feel like the right word either. This is kind of how my thought process works. I'm like, maybe this one, that one doesn't feel good. Maybe this one, that one doesn't feel good either. This feels a little bit like a therapy session where I do this a lot.
Yeah. I understand.
So I guess maybe I would use the word like constructive, maybe, of like, instead of looking on like, oh, these are all the positive things that are going right, versus like, oh, these are all the ways that we can improve this, or how to improve this or changes we can make, and just kind of which side do you like is your instinct to look at.
Yes.
Because like I am like a positive person. Like I do like enjoy things and I do like see the good in things, but it's not my instinct to go there of like, oh, the first priority needs to be like what's going right. My first priority, and my sister joins me on that of like, no, these are the things that we need to work on to get to that place where we can enjoy it.
Okay, I love that you just brought up seeing the good in things. Because this is, I think ones get a bad rap sometimes. Because everybody teaches about the anger of ones, right? All the time. Like, I just feel like whenever I'm in an Enneagram room, people are talking about how angry ones get. And like, yeah, sure, that does happen. But like the ones I know in my life, I think I've said this on a different podcast before. So, dear listeners, sorry if you've heard me say this again. But the ones in my life, I actually see a struggle for humanity in a way that I don't see in anyone else. And I think it's because ones walk in a room and they see how things could be better, right? Which you could teach as like a negative thing, but what that really means is that you have a vision of what could be good. You know what I mean? Like you're always wanting to make things better, which means you carry a vision in your head of better stuff, which I think is positive, right? And I don't know why we don't talk about that.
It is to a degree. I think when you are a child who thinks that way, when you're 10 years old, people don't necessarily want, they're like, why do you care so much about this? Or like, how, like, you don't know better than I do. Like, why do you think that you know what's going on here?
Yeah.
And that was a big struggle of mine when I was younger. Like, no, this is like, I'm seeing this. I see the picture here. Like, why am I the only one that sees this? And it took me, that was kind of one of the big realizations when I came to the Enneagram and like found my number. And I was like, oh, this was here the whole time. I just didn't have words for it.
So, go ahead.
And I feel like the anger piece is probably more because that's what gets externalized.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot going on all of the time that I just have a running list that I'm just like, I have to live with this until
and,
it like comes out.
Be frustrated about it.
Yeah. So like I have to take the highway into and like back into, like I'm driving into Chicago every day. And the traffic situation, like it's like a low grade of like, why is this happening? Why is this happening? But then somebody cuts you off and you're like, that is not how this is supposed to work. And then like it explodes. But it's always like right there.
Yeah.
It isn't. I mean, maybe we were going to get to it later, but like, I guess if we're jumping into anger now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Anger was defined to me when I was younger as the emotion of not getting your way. And so that, like having that phrasing in my head for so long has been very helpful in helping to define like, what is this feeling? Of like, why am I feeling like this? And I'm like, oh, I'm feeling like this because my expectations weren't met, or because somebody did something that I didn't think they were going to do. And like being able to identify it as like things didn't go my way. And what are we going to do about that?
Yeah.
Has been like very, very helpful, and happens a lot. Like a lot of things do not go the way you plan or the way you think it's going to go. And a lot of people do not, as I've learned, not everyone has the same values as you. Not everyone has the same like ideals, are not going to act in accordance to like your code of conduct. And you're going to have to figure out how to be okay with that, because that's not their job.
Yeah.
To fulfill that for you, even if you would do that for them or do that for everyone. So that's been an interesting like struggle to kind of have to navigate.
I feel like you're Like, is this like what runs through your head when you get angry? You're like, it's not
Yeah.
their job. It's not their fault. All that. Like,
yeah. Well, I also like have been told that I intellectualize my feelings a lot. And so I'll have a feeling and I'll have to like, have to be like, what is this? And then, okay, this is anger. Okay, why am I feeling this way? Okay, I'm angry because somebody said that they were going to come to dinner and then they canceled. And I'm like, I'm super angry because I'm like, I would never cancel on somebody. But like, of course I would. Like, it's a very human thing. Like, they have to go see their mom instead. Okay, that's fine. Like,
right.
And so then we get to like, it's okay, we'll do it another time. And then I go back to normal. So like we kind of have like, it's kind of a up and then a like sorting down.
Yeah. I think this is fascinating that like, can you say it again? Anger is the emotion when you don't get your way.
Yeah. So we learned about that in Sunday school when we were talking about Jesus flipping tables. And they're like, he's flipping tables. He's angry because things are not going the way that he wants them to go, which is to like be respectful of the space and all of that. And I don't know why now I know why that caught so tightly because that is so inherent in who I am and how I think. But at the time, I was just like, wow, that's so interesting. That's so cool. But now I really have been able to apply it and and tell a lot of other people when I'm like, you're upset because things didn't go your way. That is what anger is.
Yeah.
And sometimes people take that well. They're like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. And some people are like, don't tell me how I think. I'm like, okay.
Sorry. I think it's two things. I think it's fascinating, just as an aside, like the things we pick up as kids. Because I think it's fascinating you as a little baby one, someone told you something about anger and you remember it to this day, right? I had a sixth grade teacher who looked me in my eyes on my birthday in sixth grade. Looking back, she had a very good reason to do this. I won't tell this story right now because it's too long, but she had a very good reason to tell me this. But she looked me in my eyes and she was like, you are not as special as you think you are. And as a 3, I remembered that since that happened. Listen, readers or listeners, she had a good point. Okay, she was not being that mean to me. I was being kind of a brat.
That's devastating, though.
Isn't it devastating, though? Like, I was a little baby 3, and I don't remember anything that any of my teachers told me except I remember that.
Wow.
Because it was like kind of true. Like, I'm not as special as I think I am, right? Like, that is sort of, for maybe anyone else, that would be like horrible and a terrible thing to say, but for me, it was just kind of true.
Yeah. I had a heart-to-heart conversation with somebody, and what I took away from it was like, you're not as good of a person as you think you are.
Yeah.
Like, you are not putting off what you think. And I was like, I've been found out. Oh my goodness.
Oh, like you, Veronica, don't think you are as good of a person?
Yeah.
Ooh.
And it wasn't like, wow, I'm wrong. Like, I didn't take that on, like, not that aspect of being a 1, but a very much like, wow, they know. They know that I cannot meet the expectation that I've set for myself. They know that I'm not like perfect. I'm not as good of a person as I think I am.
I've been found out.
Yeah. And it was,
That feels very, so we talk about shame with 2, 3s, and 4s, right? But I think like when I talk to 1s, like that line to 4 is strong in y'all, I think, because you talk about shame so much. And like that's exactly how my shame feels. Is it feels like people are going to find me out. And I hear 1s talk about that all the time. I think that's I wonder why. Maybe it's something with action processing, like we're both big action people, so we're trying to like cover up what we feel about ourselves by like doing things about it. I don't know. Yeah. So maybe it is this like people are going to see behind the like curtain of activity. Right?
Yeah, I felt that quite a bit about 1s and 3s as well.
Speak more on that.
Well, because both of us are trying to like present something in a certain way, and kind of how that presents or what like we're willing to do for it kind of is different. But in a lot of ways, I think it's kind of similar.
Walk through. What do you think the differences and the similarities are? Or if you want to talk about one.
I feel like it's a little stereotypical, and I feel like it's not necessarily like well thought out, but it's kind of related. So like the difference between right and being correct. So a lot of times I'll like get into we've probably already sussed this out, but I'm a very argumentative person, especially as I've gotten older and I've felt more like free to like express myself better. Like when I'm arguing with somebody, like I don't want to be right. I want to know what is right.
Oh,
and I feel like
fascinating.
And so like I think I'm right because like I like always think I'm right. But if I'm wrong, like that's way more important to me than like winning the argument. Like if you can convince me that I'm incorrect and I've been thinking about something wrong, like that's so much more important to me than actually like being the victor.
Yeah.
And I feel like
no, I want to be right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's like kind of the difference I see, or I like think about. I don't have a lot of threes in my life. I only like hear about them or like on podcasts or in group discussions. So I like don't have a ton of experience with them, which might be the like notion of where I'm at in my life or who I work with, because like being a scientist like calls a certain like subset of people.
Yes, it does.
So I work with a lot of fives. Like
yeah.
Just not to generalize, but like So yeah.
I don't have a lot of experience with ones. Personally, like I've taught some ones and I've been in the same room as ones, but I don't have a lot of ones in my family. So maybe this is good for both of us. Like we can say what's going on in us and then be like, is it the same in you? I think that was a great, I don't know, for some reason, like I've heard one say that, but for some reason, the way you said it, I was like, oh, like you just want to know what is right.
Yeah. And do you, like, I assume I am because because of who I am.
Right.
But that's not always the case. Like there's a lot of people have a lot of different experiences or different like observations than I do. And so, which I also find very deeply interesting. And I want to know everything. I find other people's stories so interesting. And so like, I want to know. And I also want to know, like, am I right about my assumptions? Are my assumptions correct? Most of the time, yes, they are. And that's like a check back on me to be like, oh no, I am right because like I saw this, I foresaw this, and I've been like validated, which is like healthy and sometimes not healthy.
Yeah. I want to talk about like your sixth sister, because this is, I think, something that ones and sixes also have in common. Like, because the way that you're saying, I want to check if I'm right, that sounds a little six to me, right? But I'm gonna give you something that six told me once, and I want to hear like the one perspective on it.
Okay.
So she was talking about the differences between six and ones, and she said ones live in black and white, like everything is black and white for them, and also everything is black and white for everybody else. Like ones see the world in black and white as well, and sixes, they themselves live in black and white, like they have black and white rules for themselves, but for the world is much more gray. That sixes are not as confident, or they just don't have the natural hardwiring to like apply their own rules to the rest of the world as well. Whereas ones do, which is neutral. That's like a good and bad thing, right? It's good in some situations, it's bad in others. What do you you have any thoughts about that? Would you change any of that? Do you have any, I don't know, do you have any thoughts?
So as I was kind of like mentally preparing for this discussion, that is like a huge part of being a one is the black and white and not being able to see gray, which has been a very big talking point like in my therapy sessions of being like, no, the world is very gray, like very, very gray. And you, even though it's not your instinct, you have to shake yourself out of it. I don't know if that's like your
therapist talking to you.
I'm not sure if that section really made sense.
I think that made sense.
Okay, so going back to your scenario, I would completely agree with that, and that's also very interesting to here. So I would say I'm like personally and personality wise like closer with my 6 sister, but I talk with my 9 sister way more about like Enneagram stuff. So I haven't had as much perspective like from my 6 sister on these situations. So I don't know if I could actually speak to her experience of that. I'm going to ask her about it after this, obviously.
Right. What do you think about this?
But sitting here right now, like that was a big part of like my growth process of going from like teenager to adult, and kind of how you figure out like how you are seeing the world and how you want to see the world is like everything is very black and white.
I feel like 6s carry like almost this sort of confusion with them about how the world works. And I think some of them cover that up really well if they're like counterphobic 6s or whatever. But 1s just have this sense of like, no, I do know the right thing. I don't need to ask you what you think the right thing is. Right? Like you said, you had to learn to be flexible about it. Like now I ask people, do you agree? Right? But when I was a kid, I never did. Like I always knew.
And that was a weird thing that I've always thought about myself is like when you're like a teenage girl, they talk so much about like self-esteem issues and like comparing yourself, and it was like I've never experienced that in my life. I've always known exactly like who I am, and if people don't see it, I'm like, what's the problem with them? Like why don't they see like how cool of a person I am, or like how interesting, or like I've never experienced that, and that's such an interesting thing to have that much confidence for like no reason.
Yeah.
But I've also always felt that was very much just who I was. Like I remember being younger and being like, I don't feel like I was ever taught to be a good kid. I always just felt like this is who I am. This is always how I was going to be, which is like a very deep thought to have as a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
But no, I genuinely like feel like that has always been there, which is why I don't know what school of thought or whoever is like, you're born with your number. You're not like, you don't develop it. And I like strongly believe that's true.
Yeah. So I think what I was taught was that there's like the 2 top theories for this, at least the ones that I know from the people who have taught me, right, is that you are either born your number. Well, I'll say like 3. Born your number. Number 2 is that you find your number by the time you're 5 years old. You're born as like nothing, but then you find your number by the time you're 5 years old. Other people, I've also heard about a third one where people think you're born into your stance. And then by the time you're 5 years old, you've figured out your number. So that's like a nature and nurture, right? Like you're born to be independent, responsive, or withdrawn. And then based on how you're raised or what happens to you or anything, like you kind of find a number through that. I don't know. I agree with you. I think that what's important, all of the theories are like by the time you're 5, you're your number. By the time like you are capable of exerting any will upon the world, like you've been your number, right? Yeah. So I agree with you. People ask me that question all the time, and I just don't I don't really think it matters, because if it's you're born into it, or if you're 5, nothing's gonna happen between being 0 and 5, you know? Yeah. As long as you've been a child, an adult, a teenager, you've been your same number.
Yeah. That's kind of interesting though, because I also, part of my, it's like we all have multiple identities that follow, like one is a certain one, but also I very much identify as an eldest daughter and like follow a lot of that. And there's a lot of overlap there. But by the time I was 5, like I was the oldest of 3. Yeah. And so that's interesting that like maybe there is a correlation there of like you develop into what you think you need to be at that time.
Right.
At the early stages. That's interesting. I don't know if that's true or if that.
I know. We're never going to be able to figure it out, because we'd have to do like horribly unethical experiments on like children or whatever. Right. But, and whatever. Even, like have them be able to verbalize. Be like, I'm exactly. Because I think this, like. Because I'm motivated to avoid conflict.
They're not. I mean, I'm sure it's in there, and I'm sure like their brain is working in those ways. but
yeah,
and it's also not that important. Like until you're at the phase where you're like figuring out the world as a whole, like you're going to kindergarten, you're interacting with other people.
Exactly.
Before that, like how important is that anyway?
Right.
I mean, it's all important, and
it's all important, and
it's
all
good to
really
know.
very interesting. It's all very interesting.
Yeah, and I guess I don't have the experience of being a parent, so maybe like as a parent, like trying to talk to your 4-year-old who you assume is like one of the stances, is maybe helpful in relating to them. So maybe I take it all back.
So the Suzanne Stabile is the woman who taught me a lot of what I know. And she will tell you that when she went to the hospital for each of her grandchildren, she held all of her grandchildren like within the first hour of them being born, right? Because her whole family is like right there and all the things. So, and she will tell you that like looking down on this baby that was born less than an hour ago, they were all different. Yeah. Every baby was different, and you could tell immediately. Like, I think her point was like babies aren't born as like the same blob of putty as every other baby. You know, there is something different about different babies. Yeah. So maybe that is, I mean, anecdotal evidence, not real evidence, but anecdotal evidence for something being different about us. Who knows if it's our Enneagram number or just, I don't know, your soul or whatever. I don't know. Yeah. But anyways, that made me think of, speaking of childhood, I forget what you said, but something else. It reminded me of, I think ones and threes. I bet ones and threes look very similar when they're children because we both want to be good and we want to be high achievers and we want to be, I want to be seen as good. You want to be good. Right. And when you're a child, the way to be good is to follow the rules. Right. Because that's how it works. And like to get good grades and I'm also an eldest daughter, just of two. It's just me and my sister. But like to be, if you're an eldest daughter, right, to be dependable and to follow the rules. And like I said, to get good grades and to be the good kid in class. I'm doing it because I want to be seen as all those things. Right. Are you doing it just because it's the right thing to do? Like, is that the right way to say it?
I don't, well, I've thought of a lot on this as well, as I've done a lot of like unlearning as an adult of like things that were instilled in me, which were like related to that of like being a good student, being all these things, but also being like, don't rock the boat, like don't make people uncomfortable, like keep your voice down, like doing, I forget where I heard the phrase. I'm like a very like Instagram philosopher where I pull a lot of quotes and they just stick in my head, as we've kind of
don't know where they came from.
But there's this like phrase of like good girls don't. Like good girls don't raise their voices, good girls don't get dirty, good girls don't make a mess, good girls don't fight, like those types of things. And so I think by that definition, it's probably similar. And also having someone validate, I think maybe that's where it comes from. Maybe skip all that other part. But like being validated of like, oh no, I am on the right track. I am doing good things because the people who, as long as we're in alignment on what the expectation is. I've found that a lot as kind of an adult is if I'm working for somebody who like I don't feel like aligned with, like I don't care what you think about me. Like your expectations are meaningless to me. But if there's someone who I actually look up to and I'm like, oh, I want to be more like them, like their opinion matters so much. And so I think when you're younger and in grade school, like your teacher, a lot of the time is the person where you're like, oh, I want to be like them. I want to make them happy. I want to do. So I don't know.
Something is coming together for me as you're saying all of this. So I'm going to set something up and have you respond to it. Okay. Joey Shuey. Do you know who Joey Shuey is?
I know the name. I don't know that I could name like specifics.
Yeah. She's Suzanne Stabile's daughter. She's the other woman who taught me the other half of everything I know, basically. Okay. The only reason I bring her up is because this is her theory I'm about to say. She talks about ones are responsive doers because you're in the responsive stance and you're in the body triad, right? Whereas twos are responsive feelers and sixes are responsive thinkers, okay? And I have always been able to see it in twos and sixes. Twos twos respond to other people's feelings, right? Twos feel what you feel. So the feeling of a two is totally dependent on someone else, right? A six's thinking is dependent on someone else. Sixes want to know what you are thinking. They want to check what they're thinking against what you're thinking, right? Basically, the question is, am I thinking the right thing, right? It doesn't always come out like that. Again, if they're counterphobic, it doesn't look like that. But that's what they're doing. Am I thinking the right thing? How do I know that I'm thinking the right thing? How do you know that you're thinking the right thing? All this stuff. And it's never made sense to me what responsive doing would look like, especially in ones. I think I'm going to set up this contradiction in ones that I'm seeing that I'd like you to kind of explain if you can. So ones see everything in black and white, but also they're responsive doers, which means if we follow the train of sixes being responsive thinkers, it means that ones are going to be saying, am I doing the right thing? How do I know that I'm doing the right thing? Are you doing the right thing? Like, will you tell me what the right thing, like, but also, you know, what we talk about ones as if you know what the right thing is. So why do you see that contradiction I'm saying?
I think so. I notice a lot of contradictions in ones that is very frustrating to me because I'm like, how does that doesn't even make sense? But it is my experience like that.
Yeah.
Of like, I know what's right. I know what I'm doing is right. But then I also need the feedback from other people. But like the feedback,
that's what I'm saying.
But if the feedback is from the wrong person, then it doesn't actually matter. So, and it's very contradictory.
So that
I think it's a bit of, this might be like a weird jump, but we categorized all the numbers into animals. And eights, we say, are bats because they use sonar to like send out the message, bring back information. I feel sometimes it's sonar.
Eights are like that or ones?
Eights.
Eights are like that. Okay.
I'm going to like steal it because sonar, that was maybe too much of an aside.
No, go ahead. This is great. Go ahead. However you want to explain it.
I'm long-winded. I feel like it's a bit of a sonar of like, I think I'm right until I hit the wall where I'm like, oh, nope, that was wrong. That was wrong. Okay, over here. We're never going to do that again. And when that happens, we run straight to 4 of like, oh my gosh, I'm the worst. Like, how could I have let that happen? Like, what did I do wrong? Like, it's a complete meltdown for like at least 2 days.
Yeah.
Well, it's a lot of thinking, but it's the unproductive thinking of just like, just because the wheels are spinning does not mean we're going anywhere.
Right, exactly.
We're stuck in one spot. And it's very much like I can literally feel the like gears just like, we're not doing any. And then once I go, okay, this is what happened. This is how you're not going to do that again, even if I'm going to, because we're all human and that's how it goes. But at least it like puts my head at ease of sussing out, is what I did wrong or was the situation wrong? So I'm going to give an example, which I thought of before this, and I'm just going to slip it in, of like, I was given instructions to do a task at work. I do the task. We get it done. They come back. They're like, oh, we actually gave you the wrong instructions. You need to redo this again. But then in the report, I had to write like, I did this wrong. Because technically, well, and then you explain like, and this is how we fixed it, as we did it right the second time. But like, it was so...
That feels unfair.
It was so hard to be like, I did everything right and it was still wrong.
Yeah.
Like trying to suss out like, it's going to be okay. We're going to double check everything. Everyone on the team is going to double check everything before we move ahead next time. And then I was like settled because I was like, okay, there's a fix. Like nothing broke. We're okay. But it did like, it like rocked the boat.
Yeah.
Of not my self-confidence, because I was like, I did everything I was supposed to do. The situation just didn't turn out the way it was supposed to. And so it's like a weird, I guess we were just talking about like the contradiction of being right, but also like not being right.
Yeah.
Or like how you figure out, it's a very gut instinct of like what I think is correct, but it's also experience based of like, I know this because I've done this before. And I kind of only do things that I know. It's hard for me to try new things because I'm not sure I'm going to be good at it. And I don't know what I'm doing. But there has to be a checks and balances. It's not like none of us know everything or are going to be good at everything. We need other people. We need other influences.
Mm-hmm.
We need
I wonder
boundaries.
if it's the same. So a lot of sixes will tell me they're very intuitive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things. It's like what you believe about yourself is hiding who you actually are, like how you're actually functioning, right? We were talking about that earlier. Like you think this way about yourself, and I can tell it's not really true. So some sixes will tell me how they're so intuitive and they can pick up on things and they just know things. And I'm sure that's true on some level, but then I see these sixes also not know what they think, and they need to check in with you, and they need to have affirmation of what they're thinking and all the things, right? And maybe it's the same way about ones. Like you do have a gut feeling of what's right, but someone else, well, not someone else could change your mind, but someone else could get you to do something different, maybe. Does that feel right? That feels wrong.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I know.
I think, well, it also really, it depends on the situation, right? So like if I say something I shouldn't say, like to a friend, where like if I say something that was like too much, where they're like, that was too honest, I didn't need it, I just wanted you to like hear me, I didn't need feedback.
Yeah.
Like that is a learning point of like adjusting.
Yeah.
Which I guess also kind of goes back to like remembering not everyone thinks the same way you do or wants to experience things the same way you do. So like, I don't really know where I'm going with that.
Let me ask you a question. Ones are in the responsive stance. What do you respond to? What can change what you're doing?
That's a good question. And I'm having a tricky.
This is for some reason, this is so hard for me with ones to explain, I don't know.
I think that's really broad.
Yeah.
Is maybe part of it, because like when I'm talking about my work, like I do a lot of things based on my like experience of like, I've done this before, this is how we're going to do it now, this is what I think. But if I'm like trying to, in my personal life, like trying to build relationship with people, like there's a lot more variables there. And you kind of have to adapt a little bit to other people's needs. So I guess okay, circle back. We figured it out. It's about the need in this situation.
Okay.
Is really what it comes down to. And which is a thing that I've talked quite a bit like to myself about of like finding the need and fulfilling it, which might just be part of my, I don't know if we talked about it at all. I forgot everything we've talked about so far, but I have a lot of two influence, like because of my mom, because of being a girl, like, and like society and all of that. And so a lot of my like one instructions, like they talk about how we're very like principled and procedure based. And a lot of that has to do with like doing right by other people. And so sometimes doing right by other people like looks differently depending on who your people are. And so maybe that's kind of where the flexibility comes in of like, it doesn't always look the same. And I guess I get that piece wrong a lot more often than professional or. Yeah.
Well, especially in a lab, like, I mean, sometimes they hand you the wrong instructions, but there's like instructions, right?
Yeah. Well, which is why it works for me and why this is why I'm good at my job.
Right. There's no instructions to like being a friend.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And so it's kind of two different situations.
Yeah. So here's my last question about that. You say we're responding to a need. Is the need, I guess maybe you did already answer this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Is the need coming from a person or the group or just like the environment? Like
it's
just there's just a need here.
It's my own observations.
Okay, about just the vibe.
It's the one walks into the room and is like, oh, that light bulb's out. We should take care of that.
Okay, yeah.
Like that's It's very
So
much
it's
that
much
thing.
more environmental.
Instead of someone being like, hey, we need somebody to, but it also can look like that. If someone's like,
Right.
we need we want to talk
We
to
need
people on this
ones for the
podcast.
Right.
I'm like, I'm there. Like
Yeah.
I'm going to go do that.
Yeah.
So I guess it kind of looks differently, but it definitely, I don't feel like it comes from, I think it definitely comes from myself.
Mm-hmm.
See, this is the contradiction of like, it's from myself, but then I also like other people also tell me things. And then in my head, I'm like, okay, this is what I have to do. This is what I have to do about that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's a great line, I think. Like that makes sense. That last part to me.
Okay.
You know, there's a need and it's coming from within me. What do I need to do about that? Right. But you are responding to the need. Right.
Yeah.
And you are figuring out what you're going to do about it.
Right.
This has been so good.
Okay, good. I'm glad.
Here's my last question for you. This is what I ask everybody at the end of the podcast.
Yep.
You're 32.
Mm-hmm.
Go back 10 years. You're 22.
Yeah.
What would you tell her if you were in the same room with 22-year-old Veronica?
Man, this was the question I was thinking the most about and have probably the most to say. The first one is therapy is going to change your life. Mm-hmm. It's going to open you're going to open so much about yourself and unlearn so many things that are holding you back. The other one, it might make me cry. There's so many people who are going to love you for who you are.
Yeah.
And that you're not going to have to change for or put on your best self or be anything that you're not. They're going to love you anyway.
Yeah. We were talking about that earlier. 1s and 3s are actually similar in that, right? We're trying to present something. I'd be 17 to 10 years ago. And just the same thing. Like, you are allowed to just be as you are, right? I imagine for a 3, it's maybe who. This feels like a distinction that's important. Maybe it's not. A 3, it's like who you are. You're allowed to exist who you are. And a 1, it's like you're allowed to exist as you are. I don't know. Maybe that's not an important distinction. But anyway, I think that's great. And I agree. I would tell my 22-year-old self the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being here, Veronica.
No, this was really fun.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. You have... Yes. I'm also glad therapy has helped you because now you have an incredible way of speaking about yourself and what's going on in you and being able to share that with people. It's been phenomenal.
Thanks.
So thank you.
Yeah.